what I've found when learning those different things, like, learning languages, learning new fields like data science, which also involves a lot of math, is that every learning process can be broken down in more or less the same steps. And if you follow those steps, you will still face challenges, but they will be manageable. They won't stop you from achieving what you want to learn. And the first step is basically drawing out a map of what you want to learn. So there's so much information out there. It's very easy to get overwhelmed, especially now in the digital age. So the first step is really drawing out a map and creating almost like a tree of knowledge where you separate the really important things from the small details and really get that clear in your head. And once you've done that, you have identified basically the place to start. So basically the root of learning. And from there, you can then take the next step, which is building the initial understanding. And a good way to build understanding is by writing and drawing in your own words. You can have a textbook full of math with intimidating equations, but you're never going to get anywhere unless you start doing it yourself. So take the simplest equation you can find, write it down, take an exercise from the book maybe, and just start doing it and start making it your own. And an important part of this process is also getting feedback. And that feedback can either come internally from yourself. So you struggle to solve a problem. So that's feedback that, well, maybe you need to try another approach. Or it can be feedback from other people who are ahead of you. So maybe a teacher or a friend who's slightly better at math suggests, well, you've taken this step to solve that equation, but let's try the other approach instead. And that kind of feedback improves our understanding. And then the third step after that is the memorization. So once we figured out the right principles, the right ways of doing things, we need to memorize those so that we can apply them next time we come across a similar problem. And there are several techniques for improving memorization. A very important one is called spaced repetition. It basically means that we don't do it all in one go, but we space out our practice over time. So maybe we do one exercise the first day, another exercise the second day, and then we take it like an even bigger break. And during that break, our unconscious brain keeps processing. And then maybe we try it again on the fifth day, and we will suddenly notice, hey, I got it. Like in the back of my mind, something happens and it just clicked.
Right.
So that's very important to really build the long-term memory. And then, the last final step is actually applying it in real life. Because even when you know how to solve a math equation, if it's not going to be useful for you in real life, after a couple of months, you will probably have forgotten how to solve it.
Dom, 3 days ago, I downloaded the traverse.link onto my computer and began to create my own process here, following what you suggested here. And I can share with our listeners that one of the beauties of the whole process is because it's our own words, we tend to believe ourselves more than we might believe someone else.
Yeah. And I love what you mentioned, like really making it personal is so very, very helpful for learning, because very often when we learn from a textbook, it's abstract concepts which are not very, very memorable, not very easy to understand. But instead, like humans are very good at learning by stories. Like tell us a particular story about a CEO that made a particular mistake and the company failed, and we will remember that, oh, when I have to run a company, I need to do things in a way that avoids that particular mistake. So we will remember much better from stories. And this personalization that you mentioned, right? Writing it in your own words, adding humor, adding all kinds of weird personal details, is really helps so much to acquire new skills, to learn new subjects.